I've been in this room painting for about 20 years, and I was working myself to death. I was painting every day, so caught up in my desire to 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 get my work out there, my desire to be a successful painter, that I was literally whipping myself and just repeatedly doing the same thing over and over. I was painting different pictures, but physically I was doing very similar things. I was mixing paint, I was, moving on the canvas, I was walking back and forth, and these patterns, you know, began to generate a discomfort, and I felt ill at ease with myself because the body is so intelligent. It does whatever you ask it to do, but it will sacrifice other things at the cost of that. So I was sacrificing a lot of other movement to focus on this one thing that my head was telling me I needed. And I use this feedback loop to get information about where I'm holding tension. So I'll play music, and I will play with one simple movement, but I'll really marinate with it. I'll really spend time with it and see what else could be possible, and freestyle. There's nothing strict about this. This is not strict choreography, but you can allow the hands to just play with each other and riff off of this initial pattern that we have created.
I think soul is the invisible, everything we cannot see, we cannot touch, we cannot name. That's why it's so difficult. Like, what is soul? I mean, show me your soul. It's something that takes a whole lifetime, and that's why, in a way, I connected to Butoh, I think, to Butoh dance, because I think that it was exactly, I mean, when I was a child, growing up in Paris, I saw a lot of Marcel Marceau, who was a mime artist, invented the wall and lots of things of like the flower, and I was imitating him all the time, and it was the mime of the physical world, of the objects. And when I went to Japan in the 90s, and I saw Kazuo Ono, who was around 90 years old already, dancing on the stage, and he looked very much like Marcel Marceau. He was painted in white, but what he was doing is the mime of the invisible, the mime of the soul. It was not object, it was not things, it was everything I couldn't name, I couldn't say, I couldn't touch, I couldn't describe, but I could feel. And I think that we are, especially now in our world right now, we are really in lack of soul. We're really in lack of the invisible. Everything, if you cannot sell it, put a price to it, a form, a name, a shape, and it's really sad, because nature for me is all about that. When you first touch fire in your life, yeah, it was like an impulse. So what happened if the whole room is filled with fire? Fire is really hot, it's passion, yeah? Fire, it's anger. Fire is hot. Fire, it was burning now parts of this world. So what happens when you touch? Yeah, so we'll do it just very quickly, very quickly, this feeling of like impulse, like very hot. So imagine in everywhere, it's like little fireworks in each one of your articulations, yeah?
So for me, there is the conversation between the surreal and the mundane. And that's what I think for me, there's a very Lynchian aspect going on here, that you've got the unusual with the usual. You've got the surreal with I'm actually covering the branch, like you all can see. Sorry, I'm getting all carried away. But if you put your hand over the branch, then it's just a guy looking out of a window, and that's okay. It's just nice. But with the branch there, it it allows you to kind of enter his world in a different way.
Yeah, and suddenly there's a relationship that opens up.
There's a relationship between him, his thoughts, and the branch. And that's what I like. And that's why it feels like loss, because now you can enter his world through that branch.
Yeah.
I've been collecting these, but didn't know why I was collecting them. But this day it came right. And I wanted this thing of having this Sambo-like character that was burning down the house. You know, this way of being able to pacify Black people and a way of being able to draw us in this grotesque way. I wanted to take this kind of grotesque character and turn it back on society. So that's why I had these big old lips. It's again being able to reclaim that image, but then do it in the most grotesque and violent way. And I needed the body to be disembodied. I wanted our audience to try and put him back together. So there's all of these things in terms of, like, if you look at the hand, it's almost, I don't know, it's almost pleading. And then on the other hand, you've got the violence, you've got the potential for destruction. So I kind of wanted us to look at it in that sense.
What I had to do is really lean into my uniqueness and know that, okay, what, you know, I kind of sort of went on these different tangents. I was trying to make music that I thought I should be making. I try and make music that I thought would be successful. Finding it very hard, couldn't really get any traction with it until I thought, okay, you're a bass player and you have a voice.
Yeah.
Let's explore that, you know, what is...
And you said, and I want to make people dance.
Yeah. Part of it, you know, I approach how I put my music together in a way that is quite different, you know, and creating in the computer to then take it live is kind of a bit back to front. Most people will jam and then record the band, whereas you know, I'm making the work in the computer and then taking it out to the real world, and just then being comfortable with my idiosyncrasies in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have that level of comfort 10 years ago, you know, so it's all part of the journey.
Actually, the course that I'm leading right now is called Creative Practice in the Belly of Impermanence. And the belly image is meant to invite us into this metabolic process where whether we're encountering art or we're making art, it can be such a profound place to just feel and digest and metabolize and assimilate and then re-express the stuff of life. And so for me, that's being on the workable edge is actually like having the time and space and attention to digest life creatively. Yes, to getting in there, noticing and getting creative with the tensions that are working us, but then also I'm equally interested in how we interrupt them. If we notice like this isn't doing anything good, it feels destructive, heavy, not in a helpful way, it feels stuck. So what are the ways that we can creatively engage or interrupt tensions that we notice are not serving us?
I took that at Bateman's, which is Rudyard Kipling's old house. And again, I just had my camera on me, and in the actual moment that I took the image, I didn't really know. All I knew was that I liked her green coat and the way the guy was standing there and the colours, and just felt like a nice picture to take. But it wasn't until afterwards that I realised the guy who's bending down looks like he doesn't have a head. So it's like a sort of ghost. And I think that place is sort of pretty well known for being haunted. So yeah, I was just going to say there's lots of times when, yeah, I take
not even
pictures,
sure
you
what
don't actually, you know there's something there, but I think a lot of the process as well is when you have a load of images, knowing which ones work or which ones are actually.
Which is so personal, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, for some of us, it might just be like, yes, I love making weird noises. For other of us, it might have been like, oh, this is not so great. And that feeling, the idea of just being like, well, I feel like it's like, kind of like I physicalize it like this, or like, is also a beautiful thing, especially in a held space. It's a beautiful thing because it's a space where we can grow, because can you get used to feeling comfortable, feeling uncomfortable? The idea of like, not that you're in like any emotional or physical danger or you're going to hurt yourself or anyone else, but the idea when you're in a held space, in order to grow, like you're going to go into areas that you don't know. You're going to push your comfort zone, not necessarily go over a boundary, but push your comfort zone. So I never thought, oh, am I doing this right? Is this wrong? No, you just used to just do it.
Yeah.
And I just, let's actually just get started. Let's get into it. Let's not be afraid of failure. Let's not be afraid of judgment, because at the end of the day, like, you're in your job or you're in your area for a reason, because you're the person that's best placed at this time for it. So even when you don't have your best idea, if you allow yourself to be open and you allow yourself to relax and be free, you're going to get to that the destination or the marker on your journey that you need to get to, as opposed to thinking like, oh, I better not do this, I better not do that. Actually, you need to be able to be free. And I feel like play works so well into that, and it helps me just be more creative. It helps me just have more joy in my life. I haven't got the science behind it, but I'm sure it's going to help me live longer.
That's my language, right?
Yeah.
So that's my visual language is made up of all these sort of marks, and they're my marks. I suppose that's the only way I can almost describe it. Like, I know the shape different brushes make.
Yeah.
I know if I add loads of water at that point, that's all going to drip down over that dark color, and that's going to look like that. And if I keep using those things in my work, then that's, yeah, how they all become so interrelated, because it's a different painting, but it's kind of the same. I'm using the same
Language.
Yeah, and that language can change, like, via color or form or subject matter. But I suppose that ultimately, yeah, it's still, a bunch of painters could all go out and look at the same thing and all just paint. All the paintings will be completely different.
Yeah.
Because that's just how it is.
Yeah.
If you found like your language, that's what comes out, if you're being true to yourself and not trying to imitate someone else.
Following enjoyment, that's like countercultural too, right? Following enjoyment is not something we're taught to do much of.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that thing. It's like, I've got a pleasurable job, but ultimately I get a great deal of pleasure out of my job and painting. And yeah, maybe people think that to work, you've got to be it's got to be bad and crap and hard work, and it is hard work painting, but it isn't unpleasurable at all.
Yeah, what if it needn't be? What if it could be also pleasure and enjoyment?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Possibility.